Yo, yo, yo. Ooh, that was mellow. This is Sample Sobriety, episode 3, talking about addiction, mental health, uh, everything that comes together to form uh, this disease of addiction. Mental health is obviously a big part of it. Impulse control. A lot of us who are when we're in our active addiction, a lot of us are like hiding from something. We're running from something. We don't want to deal with feelings. And, alcohol and drugs is like the best way to like mask those feelings. Um, I didn't wake up every single morning going, I'm going to get high today. At least not at first. Um, but like as the day progressed, it just became a way for me to, um, yeah, man, deal with the feelings of like on a day to day basis. It was I remember a few times sitting at home trying to detox and telling myself like I'll never get to this point again. Like I'll never be sitting in bed sick and just want to die and all that shit. I'll never have that happen again. And here I was like 8 9 months later in the same situation. And at the end of the day the reason was um cuz even when I would go to like residential treatment and live in a nice house and you know work on some things, not the right things, but some things, I would leave and be in the same exact situation I was before I got there because I didn't really want to work on enough stuff to change my emotions and my feelings. So when I would get out of treatment, the stuff that was still bothering me deep down, that shit was still bothering me. I didn't address it. I didn't work on it. I pretended it didn't exist. I would give surface stuff to the counselors and peer support and things like that. I would give just enough stuff so they felt like I was doing something, but not enough to make a difference in my recovery. So like I tell my clients now, until you're willing to work on that stuff, it's just going to be a revolving door for you with treatment. You're just going to get a couple months clean. Something's going to happen that pisses you off, makes you sad, makes you happy, whatever the case is, and then you're gonna go get high to celebrate, to cope, to drown feelings. Again, it's just what we do. It's what we know. It comes second nature. No matter how hard we try, if we're not addressing the real issues, that you're not getting shit done. And it took me a long time to realize that. I sit here now with a little over 14 months clean, and even at the end of the day, like there's still shit I gotta work on. There's still things I need to work on every single day. And do I do that more than I did? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Could I do better? Sure, we can all do better. But I know that every single day I'm progressing to the point where I'm comfortable with my stuff. And that's a lot more than I can say about where I was at 15 months ago. Because let's be honest, man, when you relapse and, the way my drug of choice was heroin and crack cocaine. The way whatever it is now, it's not even heroin, it's all fentanyl. But the way it is, man, them detoxes are brutal. They're rough. These last few times detox was just I'm getting older, but I know the drugs have changed a lot, and they're brutal. We are talking to a guy today at work about detox, and back when I very first started this whole process of trying to get clean 6 7 years ago, when you go to detox, they were at least going to keep you 5 days. Sometimes 3 to 4 days, depending. But most of the time you were getting 5 days. Sometimes you got as long as like one time I got 10 days of detox. I was so detoxed and so better. Like literally, I was running groups because I was there that long and knew everybody and all that. But now And when they get you in and out quicker, but the drugs stay in you longer. So when you leave, you're not even better. Like I was this last few times I left, I was still sick. So I wasn't even to the point where I was comfortable, um, feeling good enough to even want to go do anything. Like I when I would get to residential treatment, especially this last time, I didn't feel good yet. Like I was still kind of sick. I finally was getting on Suboxone, but I didn't feel good yet. I was still in the mix of my sickness. Um, my body was still recovering. So here I am, going to now I'm in residential treatment. It's time to start working and I still don't feel great. And a lot of that again has to do with the drugs being different, me being older. But if you need something to, help you change your mind to about relapse, man, just think about the freaking detox. Holy cow. That's just something that we were talking about today. And man, as you age and, as things change, it's rough on the body. It really is. Um, the sickness with the heroin slash fentanyl, it's a lot. It's a lot more taxing. It lasts a lot longer, and it's something that I can look in the mirror every day and say I don't ever have to feel that way again. And it's a choice I get to make every single day. Do I have to work for it? Yeah, absolutely. But it's a choice I get to make every single day to not go back to that world. And it's something that um, I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact that I got to the point where I'm able to give back, that I'm able to share my experience, strength, and hope with people, as well as learn from people every single day. Working in the field gives you the opportunity to have a fresh reminder about how precious recovery really is, and how hard you fight to get there, and the fact that once you get to a point where you can give back, man, you want to keep that. But not only that, but you want to grow with it so you can actually have an impact on people. I don't sit there. I very seldom in groups and stuff do I tell my story. I'm not there for that. I'm there to encourage. I'm there to educate, um, and I'm there to push people in the direction of recovery. Does that mean everyone's going to recover? Absolutely not. It took me a long time to get it, and yeah, like again, everyone's a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress, but at least I know that it took me to get to the point of having some willingness to do some shit in order to finally start to recover. And there's a lot of people on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff that are in recovery, have amazing videos. The motivation's awesome, and that stuff helps. It really does. It helps to see people do well, but it really helps to see people that do well, people that you've been in the struggle with, to see the change that they have made, and the fact that what they've been through. That's motivating. Like there's a lot of people I know who got clean and staying clean, and I know how bad they were. I know how out there they were. I was out there with them. I was using with them. I was, stealing from stores with them. I was, coming up with hustles with them, and to see them do well, even a couple of them before me, really motivated me this time around when I thought about it. Like if so and so can stay clean after all the crazy shit they've been through, I can stay clean. And that again, that's all part of this whole process. That's the we part of NA. That's the group helping the person, and I think that's important. Um, I wasn't a meeting guy. I didn't believe in meetings. I was really reluctant. I didn't want to go to meetings. I always thought I had more important things to do, which at the end of the day, the hell is more important than saving your life? But I didn't look at it that way. I always felt like I had more important things to do. I wasn't going to spend my free time with a bunch of drug addicts because, again, you don't really think you are what you are, especially when you're in the mix of that chaos. I just thought I was a guy who, you know, used drugs occasionally, not realizing I needed them every second of every day just to function like a normal human being. Um, Go back to the meeting thing. Once I finally So this time around, when I was in treatment, they had created like a new position. So it's like a staff member that's a floater. This guy's main job is to make sure that we are, you know, getting to do extra stuff while we're at treatment. And by that I mean he would take us to go hoop. He would take us to meetings. He would, take a couple of the guys to go food shopping. Things like that. He would work out with the guys. Let us run around the block with him. All these little things that position. It wasn't a position the last time I was there, which was the winter of 2022. Um, so yeah, that position didn't exist. And this time around, because of that position, it allowed us to go to a lot of meetings and get out and do, a lot. Like we were going to meetings 2, 3 times a week, and I began to actually like meetings. Not just the fact that we were able to get out of the house, but I like seeing certain people. Like I like the fact I was getting to know people at meetings, and I felt the sort of way when I was able to share, or when I seen this guy share or that guy share. I remember feeling a sort of way, and I liked it. I'm like, this does something for me. I remember in particular on a Thursday night we were at a meeting called Welcome to Paradise. If you are from the Milwaukee area, it's 107th and maybe Oklahoma ish. So there's a guy who was sharing and talking about being brought up as, a drug addict. His mom did drugs. He was always around drugs. He was in this horrific car accident that almost killed him, should have killed him. And it was part of his, it was part of his journey. It was part of his wake up call to get clean. And he had to learn to talk again. And, he stuttered, and he wasn't talking clear, but he was learning to talk again, learning to walk again, and all these things. But he also had a young son that he was trying to get back. And with all the chaos, I don't really know the mom situation. I believe she's passed. But he was fighting to get his son back. And so this is, I met him in beginning of 2024. I didn't know him real well. Fast forward a couple months later, he was one of my guest speakers when I did my spaghetti dinner before I went on the Lake to Lake 500. I did a spaghetti dinner. He was one of the guest speakers. We became really close. We're still close to this day. Um, but that's one of the people who, and he probably doesn't even know this. I don't think I've ever really told him, this part of it. But hearing his story was one of the things that made me want to keep going back to meetings. Like this dude has been through some stuff. Life really, really dealt this guy a raw hand. But yet here he is, you know, learning to talk and walk again and showing up for himself. And then he's also showing up for his son he's trying to get back. And that was motivating. Here I am, a father who wants to see his kids more and, play the role that I used to play in their lives. And they're in a safe place. Like my daughters are very, I know where they are. I trust where they are. Their mom's a rock star. My kid's situation's amazing and his wasn't. So the fact that he was dealing with all this stuff, but yet showing up for meetings really showed me that something about the impact that these meetings have. Like that guy has every reason to say, I'm not going to a meeting. I can't, I'm not going to go to a meeting where I have to talk. I can barely talk. I don't walk like I used to. I'm not going to go and embarrass myself. Not that he was, but I just mean that could easily have been the thought process, but it wasn't. And it's because of guys like that I really opened my mind to the thought of meetings. So when I got out of treatment, I was going to hit the meetings hard, and I did. I hit, I did the 200 plus in 90. And I've mentioned that before. They had a huge impact on me as far as building relationships in recovery, understanding the process of recovery, knowing what it takes to um, really work a program. We all say that, like, we got to work a program and we got to do this and that, but what does that really look like? What's a program look like that we don't really know? I know how to get high every single day, I know how to figure out how to get money every single day, regardless. But do I know how to stay sober in a program every single day where I'm progressing? Um, I didn't know that at first, because I would always do treatment and then rush back to work. And I've mentioned it a few times. That was my pattern. 90 days, a few days of day treatment, maybe 2 weeks of day treatment, get a pretty good job, start making money, and then hurry up and start spoiling my kids. And that's what I did every single time. So the fact that I was going to do this recovery different and take time for myself, I really needed to work. I needed to grind. I needed to learn what recovery looked like. And recovery looks different today than it did when I started back then. Back when I started 14 plus months ago, you know, I had to get to 2, 3 meetings a day. It was my job. It was what I needed to do to understand what recovery was. And it's what I needed to do to stay clean. So I got up in the mornings at 6, 7, made sure I was at that first meeting at the Alano Club. I made sure that I hit the noon meeting. I made sure that I hit a meeting in the evening. If I could hit two in the evenings, I would. Like, those are things I did every single day. Whether I had to walk, take the bus, beg for a ride, whatever I had to do to get to a meeting, I did. And what I did is once I got home or I wasn't around the meeting crowd, I still did things for my recovery. I did things I liked. I worked out. I walked a lot. I journaled. I wrote. I wrote about my recovery. I wrote about my addiction. Like, I did a lot of things when nobody was watching to work on my recovery. I read my NA book. I got into the literature. I bought extra books and, step guides. And I did all the things that I was never going to do because everything I tried before wasn't working. I couldn't stay clean. I couldn't stay clean if you offered me $1 million. I just couldn't. I was never going to stay clean until I started changing only everything I did. Pretty simple, right? Just change every single thing you've done. And when I finally got to the point where I was willing to do that, I started to learn what recovery really is. And does that mean I'm cured? Absolutely not. I hate when people say that. Like, we say it kind of joking around, me and a certain couple group of people, like, oh, I'm all recovered now. I mean, you're never cured. I'm literally a bad day away from being back out there. And I know that, and I'm well aware of that. And um, I make the necessary decisions every single day to not have that happen. And by that, I mean, like, I wake up every day going, maybe something doesn't go my way today, but that doesn't mean it ruins my whole day. I maybe the kid's mom is not happy with me today, and that will bother me. If it does, I'm not gonna bullshit. Like, she's still one of my best friends, whether she knows it or not. So just because we have some kind of disagreement, that used to bother that would ruin my whole day. It literally would. If me and her would have a disagreement about something, or a comment was made, or something I didn't like, it was an instant excuse for me to get high. Like, instantly. If she would say, hey, you can't have the girls this weekend because we're going here, here, or here, I would be like, F you, and I would go get high. It was an instant relapse, instant drug use excuse that I had built in any and every time that would happen. Now, it's just like, okay, cool. Let's figure out another time. It's so, I'm so okay with where I'm at that I think she doesn't believe it sometimes, because I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Um, but that's something I had to learn, because again, man, I'm an emotional cat. Like, I drive off emotion. Um, I go 1,000 miles per hour when I go. I don't know what half ass means. I don't do anything without jumping both feet in and figure out how I'm gonna survive later. So I had to take advantage of things that I do like that I know about myself, and use that towards my recovery. So, and what I mean by that is, so now when I jump all in, if there's a situation that like with the kid's mom that bothers me, I jump all in into like the positive mode. You know, it's got to be because if I jump into the negative shit, that gets that whole, forget this, forget you. I'm gonna go do what I want to do now to get back at you, even though you don't even know it, because poor me kind of thing. Now the way I do it is just like, okay, cool. Well, you know, I hope you girls have fun with what you're doing, and I can't wait to hear about it. It's still got to be who I am. It's just got to be on the positive end because if I go with my whole crazy energy level to the negative end, I'll just be right back to where I was. And I've worked way too damn hard to go backwards. So, um, and I think the important thing, I learned in early recovery too is like, you can't wait on people. Not everyone's going to be at your speed, not everyone's going to be running at your pace. Um, and you do yourself a disservice for waiting on people. I would tell people all the time, listen, man, I'm going to the 7 o'clock meeting. I'll be outside at 6:40. I got to start moving by 6:42 to get where I need to go. If you're there, cool. If you're not there, you know where I'm going. I had to do that because if I would wait on people and start to allow other people to dictate when I get to my recovery meetings or when I get to a group or this or that, I'm already lost control of my own recovery because I'm waiting for this guy or this gal to walk to get to group on time. So if I'm late because of her, who the hell's in control of my recovery? Me or her? So it's all these little things that kind of are building blocks to a healthy program, you know. And and to this day I still work at like every day I'm still working on different building blocks and I'm doing different things to help me with my recovery and stay where I am but also progress as a person. And sometimes that means doing some things you don't want to do. There's some days like right now I probably don't want to be talking to myself. My roommate's crazy sick, so I don't want to be loud. uh, I'm just winging it without content at all. And there's other things I could be doing, working out, sleep, journaling. But at the end of the day, this helps my recovery. It's part of what I'm doing. It's part of my program. There's other guys that we're kind of coming together to collaborate on some things. But again, if I don't do things that help my recovery, I'm taken away from my recovery. So at the end of the day, um, I learned a lot in early recovery that will continue to be part of my recovery till the day I die. Like I told my youngest, we talk a lot that, um, daddy did a lot of work early, so I can be around, when I need to be. And, you know, I don't regret now when I miss meetings, when I do stuff with the kids, because that's why I did all my early recovery. When I hit it hard early on and I was missing things, it's to put myself in position where I'm comfortable enough to not have to be at a meeting every single day. That doesn't mean I don't try to get to a meeting every single day, but that means that I'm allowed to live a little bit. I spent a good 5, 6 months like grinding. So when work came and opportunities came, I can take them advantage of them opportunities now and not regret not being at a meeting because I know that, you know, I'm still thought of in those meetings and I will hit a meeting when I can, if that makes sense. But if you don't do the work early on, it shit ain't gonna work. It's just not. If you're not gonna be willing to be uncomfortable and hustle around and work just as hard to stay clean as you did to get high, it's not gonna work. I promise you that. I tell the guys at work that my clients, I'm like, listen, gotta wake up every day. I am going to grind as hard as I did to get high and drunk to stay sober. It's the only way it works. So that's your little tidbit of sample sobriety for this evening. Um, Again, I'm sorry it's short. I'm sorry it was very on structured, but I just wanted to get a little content. Uh, getting together with a couple people who I really, really respect as far as the recovery world. Um, Dusty Pockets wants to get together and kind of brainstorm some of these podcast ideas, as well as Alex, two guys that are very, very talented guys I enjoy. Just as human beings and friends. I've known Jeff since I first tried to get clean. 6 or 7 years ago, I first met Jeff, and totally great guy, very, very talented musician, and yeah, I'm excited to get together and brainstorm and come up with some good content for you, round table kind of atmosphere. I will be recording Wednesday evening from the Alumni House, Serenity Inns on Milwaukee's north side. So we're gonna have a little round table with the fellas there. So I'm super excited for that. So please continue to follow, like, share on all those amazing things. The video stuff is coming very, very soon. I have some videos edited. It's just a matter of me getting off my lazy butt and posting them. So keep an eye out for them. Have a amazing evening and give it up for your boy. And I'm out of here. What?